everyone, it's Brandy from Brandy Burrow Astrology, back with Ellie Adams for a Forensic Astrology episode. It's been a minute.
It has. It's been a minute being on your channel. I know this one's going to be on both, but it's been a while without you hosting it. God, my words.
I totally know what you mean though. And so for those who happen to be watching on my channel, I've been around. I've just been on Ellie's side of things, kind of coming on to her side and filming. But yes, so we are working together on this one, and this is about Will Gray, who is from Sweeny, Texas, went missing technically October 18th, 2022. Last time seen October 17th, actually reported missing October 19th. So October 2022. And me and Ellie are actually working with the family on this one. And they reached out and asked if we could take a look and gave us their blessing and their permission to talk about this. And really, they're hoping, one, they can get answers from the astrology, and two, that maybe someone watching this knows something. Maybe you know someone. Someone knows something about this.
Yeah, there's not a lot out there about this case. So it's kind of our hope also that by way of putting it on both channels, it just gets the case out there more. Because if you look up Will Gray missing, you're not going to come up with a whole bunch.
Yeah, and that's unfortunate because we need this story out there, because when it's out there, people are like, I know something, or they just, maybe they don't even realize it's significant, but then you realize, oh, this might be helpful to the case. And so anyone watching this, that's my hopes. And join us to look at the astrology. Please comment if you see something in the astrology as well. I'm sure anything we can come together and see is helpful for the family in getting answers. With that being said, let's start by sharing a picture of Will. Let's get you guys familiar with him here.
And as you're doing that, I'm going to turn my phone off because I didn't do that.
You got it.
That needs to not be the case. So
yes. And Ellie, let me know. Can you see this on the screen?
Yes, I can see it.
Okay, so this is William Gray, Sweeny, Texas, missing. And here is the number to the sheriff's department handling the case. If anyone knows anything, if maybe you know something and maybe you don't think it's important, but you're like, well, maybe report it anyway, please. And this is a number to call, but this is a picture of Will. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about him. One, I'm going to link a podcast in the description of this video. His sister joined this podcast and tells the full story. And I really invite you guys to listen to it. There's a lot going on here. And so go listen to it to get a little bit more of the backstory. But and William's sister is Beverly. She's the one on the podcast. And so she says he's loud. He's got a big heart. He's got a lot of laughter. He's got such a personality and such a great person. And this is a little bit about his personality, a little bit about the backstory. There was some turmoil at home. So he's married, has a child. He has an ex-wife with children as well. And there's been some turmoil here, which is described in the podcast. Police think initially that the night he went missing, that he might have just walked away. Like maybe there was a dispute, disagreement, and he went to go cool off. This is, from what I understand, maybe what the police were led to believe.
Yeah. Even though in the podcast, I may have heard this wrong, but eventually when the sister contacts somebody in law enforcement, they felt like it warranted being a missing persons case. Whoever it was, they had dealt with the family. they had dealt with Will and his current wife, some domestic issues. So
yeah,
even though it had been framed as walking away, or like that's possible, it does seem like at least some parts of law enforcement were aware that perhaps there's more.
Absolutely. They were like, after a minute, they were like, yeah, maybe something is going on here. Yeah. And that's explained in that podcast as well. And so the last place he's known to be was at his home in Sweeny, Texas. And Texas EquiSearch searched the property, I guess lakes, nearby properties as well. And this was in 2022.
I'd like to throw out there though, real quick, I'd like him to do it again.
Me too. Yeah. Yeah.
Sorry,
And,
I didn't mean to
and no
interrupt you.
offense to them, because we've seen from past cases where something's been searched, nothing found, it goes and gets searched again, and things
Yeah.
or people are found. So yeah, let's search again. We'll put that out there and get more into that with the astrology. And this case did get reassigned in March of 2023, and the place was searched again, as long as as well as the adjoining property, because I think the podcast, they said the neighbors kind of wanted to make sure their place was clear, as well, which was very smart. So that was searched, but the family, they need more tips. The police have said they need more tips and info to do any type of follow-up. So this is where anyone watching, anyone who knows anything would be really helpful. Will's home life. So he is on disability. He has a back injury. Some things about him: he loves water, he loves outdoor life. He was in the Navy, was a nuclear machinist, so really smart guy. His sister and the podcast hosts say it's almost like a rags to riches story. Mm-hmm. Growing up, with little means, and then going into the Navy and making a pretty good career in life for himself. His first marriage, he has kids from that marriage. They were co-parenting civilly for a while, and then they weren't. This is where I also invite you to listen to the podcast to kind of get more of the story. The current wife, from what I understand, they got together. She got pregnant quickly. They have a child, and that relationship is rocky.
From the podcast, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. From the sorry about that. From the podcast, it seemed like when she was pregnant with twins.
She was, and I believe she lost one.
And and I could be wrong about this, but the way that I kind of interpreted what was being said is like, that's kind of when their problems started, at that point. And I mean, I'm sure there was obviously depression, there were things going on, right? But that's kind of what I could ascertain from what was being said. Like, that's kind of,
yes, there was some trauma from a situation that, yeah, absolutely. And so that's a little bit of the backstory. There are some domestic issues between Will and his current wife. And I don't know how far we want to get into that, but there's Will reported to his sister Beverly that the wife assaulted him, and he reacted because she assaults him in a very sensitive part of the body. And as a reaction, he reacts. He calls the police himself to report, hey, this happened. And so we know there's some issues, some rockiness there. October 8th, right before he goes missing, there's an incident where he thought he might lose overnight with the kids. And I'm not real clear on this, but there's some custody issues going on. Did you get that as well, Ellie?
Yeah, it sounds like there were it was an enforcement hearing. Enforcement of the custody arrangement of the divorce decree, or that's essentially the way that I took it. Something about back child support being owed to the ex-wife for the kids, like paying her back, I think, essentially for, for their kids. And about the overnights being lost. I'm thinking, though, that wasn't gone into too much. I'm assuming the overnights were lost because of home life between him and his new wife. I'm thinking that's what that's about, but I'm not 100% sure. There could have been other things going on. I don't know.
Yeah. It's a little unclear.
I mean, like, I'll be honest, like, if I heard my ex-husband doesn't have anybody, but if I heard my ex-husband was assaulted the way that he was, and there were things going on in that house, I might have an issue with my son staying over overnight. You know what? I kind of get that. I get it. Sorry.
Yeah.
I get it.
And what we're trying to do is kind of paint a picture of what's going on around him to kind of give you an understanding of why this is suspected to be foul play. And why it's not likely that he probably just walked away. Now, there's things he said to his sister, because him and his sister
Yeah.
are extremely close and talk all the time. And he would tell her, hey, if I go, he actually said, if I go missing or something happens, something happened to me. I would not leave my children. And he's really close with his kids. You know, he's like, something's wrong. And so this was about a month before he went missing. He felt like something might happen to him.
He even did that with the ex-wife, it sounds like. Told the ex-wife, keep our children safe.
Yes.
So that's, I mean, he was reaching out to multiple, people, essentially. Yeah. He was letting people know this could happen. I could go missing, and I didn't go voluntarily, essentially.
Right. And it's almost like he knew it'd be painted that way, because what happens? He goes missing, and cops initially are like, oh, did he just walk away because he was angry? And then it's like, no, they're hearing all the stories and saying, yeah, maybe something's going on. So the day he goes missing, the last place he's known to be is at his house. He talks to his oldest son that night, and we have the chart from that call. There's cameras around the property, but there was Wi-Fi issues, and the cameras were not working that day.
Yeah.
So the one day between him being there and not being there, there's no camera footage of what's happened. There's also a camper that is, I guess, parked at the property that he commonly sleeps in when there's issues with the wife. It's where he goes, sleeps, get away, have this space. That camper went missing too.
And that's also where he would do the overnights with his kids, right? He would, yeah.
I know I did hear that they would camp in it a lot, so I'm not sure the whereabouts of that. Something weird with the camper though. So Will has a truck that he absolutely loves. I believe it's a Dodge. And his sister talks about how he would be like, he'd go buy something for the truck and be like, look what I bought for the baby. Like, he's really funny about it. Like, he loved this truck. And I guess he was a Dodge guy. Pretty sure it was Dodge. I'm not a car person, so forgive me. The wife says he went and cashed out a Chevy truck that no one else knows about. And the sister's like, he talks crap about Chevy and Ford. Like, he would never go buy like some junky Chevy. The wife claims he bought one, and maybe he left with the camper on that. Yeah. So that's kind of weird too. Doesn't make a lot of sense to those around him. So, that's some backstory. Should we just go into the charts and kind of just see what we can see from the astrology alone?
Yeah.
All right. So as I mentioned, last time anyone besides his wife hears from him or talks to him is his oldest son, who talked to him at 7:33 p.m. October 17th, 2022. And the son is in Houston. So Houston, Sweeny, pretty close. Maybe an hour and a half apart?
Or even less.
So either way, if we put this in Sweeny or Houston, it's going to be a similar chart, but I went ahead and put it in Houston from where his son was. So Ellie, what's first thing you notice about this chart?
Wheel. Uranus. Conjunct the ascendant. Not a fan of it. And I not in a natal chart. I don't mean it that way. I actually have that in my natal chart, so I'm not talking about it.
It's a really cool thing to have in a natal chart. Side comment.
Yeah. but in a horary or in a missing person, I'm not a fan of it. It can indicate something out of the blue, something coming at the person that they weren't expecting.
Yeah, because Uranus is a planet of unpredictability or explosiveness or not being prepared, right?
It feels like an ambush.
Yeah.
That's what this feels. What this feels like to me, like an ambush.
Yeah.
So that is the first that is the first thing that I notice.
Yeah, and being the first house, this is a Taurus ascendant chart. Taurus is going to be Will Gray, and Venus, because it rules Taurus. That first house is Will's turf, if you will, like his home, his area. And so something is coming to him that's very unpredictable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not a fan. Not a fan.
And I'll explain this for if anyone's new is watching this. The way forensic astrology works, you pull a chart from the last time anyone's seen or heard from anyone missing or a victim, and it's really reflecting what's going to happen, like why he went missing or why something happened to someone. So it's telling the story, and that's where we're going with this.
And then, I notice, I mean, I know we could talk about Venus too here, but really what catches my attention even more is the descendant in Scorpio, which is the perpetrator or perpetrators, catalyst, cause, whatever. With the two rulers of Scorpio, Mars and Gemini in the second house, and Pluto in Capricorn in the 9th, damn near in the 10th, conjunct that midheaven, and they're quincunx one another.
They're not seeing each other.
Yeah, they're not seeing each other. And that is, I'm like, oh, that's interesting. With that, just taking Mars for a second, Mars and Gemini, and oh God, I don't know if anybody has like.
We were talking about this, like we remember this time period.
I don't know. I feel like people, I can't, we can't be the only ones that do like this. And I know Mars was just in Gemini, but damn, this particular period of time.
I believe this is when it retrograded.
It was right before. Yes, it was
so it was there forever.
It was like, go away.
I mean, but me and Ellie, side note, we're Gemini Sagittarian. So like this Mars transit in Gemini did hit us pretty hard. But I think generally a lot of people remember this period.
Yeah, I feel like yeah. But with that ruler in the second house, it does make me think perpetrator, cause, catalyst, probably resource, money related in some way.
I get that from the Taurus rising itself as well.
Yeah.
Like, because Taurus is money, second house is money. There's some money stuff here.
Yes, there is. There's money stuff, resource stuff. Even makes me think of him being taken.
Yeah. Anytime you see second house planet, that's like abduction or taking possession over someone.
Well, there's also moving away from that for just a second. That 10th house has Capricorn on the cusp. Saturn is in the 10th. If you slip the chart, that becomes like the home or whatever of the perpetrator. What I mean by slipping the chart, in case anyone kind of got ahead of myself, it means essentially turning the 7th house into the 1st house. Thinking of the perpetrator.
So the 4th house in a chart is the home. And so when you're looking at the perpetrator, which is 7th house, this would be like their house, 1st house, 2nd house, 3rd house, 4th. So it's the 4th from the 7th, meaning it's the perpetrator's home.
Yes. And seeing that ruler of the 10th in the 10th, there's something about that and there's just something about it that makes me think that he was held. Like he was held. He wasn't able to leave. That makes sense.
I think it makes sense. And I think it also goes along with being ambushed. Like you're caught off guard. So there's that could also be, I mean, there could be several reasons why you can't leave. But the second, there's something about abduction. I'm seeing a couple other things here too. And let's kind of see if this goes together, or if it's just different theories. The fact that Will is represented by Venus here in Libra, it's in a home sign. It's a really strong Venus. And what is Venus? It's like harmony. It's the comforts in life. It's doing what makes us feel good. It's eating. It's sleeping. It's all the things it's being lazy. I'm not saying Will is lazy by any means, but I'm just saying, like, in the moment, it's like I'm in a spot where I'm not having to work. I'm enjoying something. Anytime I see Taurus or Venus with a victim, it really makes me think, were they asleep?
Seems possible.
Were they in bed in that place that feels cozy?
Could have been. Could have been.
Now, with that, with being where you're going with this, like being held, was he sleeping in that camper? And could that be why? Was, I don't want to get too graphic, but was like the door, I don't know. Was there something where he couldn't leave the camper? Is that, could you see that being a possibility?
Yeah. Yeah. Also, speaking of being held, and I know it's kind of that Venus is intercepted. Libra is intercepted. So that's also kind of locked away, if you will.
Hidden. And even the perpetrators being represented by Scorpio, a sign that's hidden as well, or very secretive.
Yeah. What's interesting about that Venus, though, I was looking at fixed stars. That Venus is right near us, Spica, which is one of like the only real fortunate stars along Via Combusta.
It also represents, because it's 23 degrees Libra, it's wealth, fame. So we got another money marker here.
Yeah, we do.
But yeah, you were saying it's more of a fortunate. So how do you interpret that when you got a victim on a fortunate fixed star?
How graphic do you want me to get?
Well, for those watching, I do want to be sensitive. We're working with a family. They have also said they want absolute honesty. That we could not come up with anything worse than what they think happened to them.
How do I want to say this? Could it that's, I don't know that I want to.
Well, let me sit with that for a second, because maybe this will tie in. When we're looking at these charts, one thing we want to know is the perpetrator's planet making contact with the victim's planet. And we know Will is Venus. He's co-ruled by the moon as well. The modern ruler of Scorpio is Pluto, and it's in a really pretty tight opposition. It's only like a degree off. That shows you right there. Pluto coming into contact with someone's planet, it's violent.
And Pluto's also coming into contact with that Venus too.
Yep, it's squaring there. Yep.
And Venus is also coming into contact with that Mars.
Yep, trying. Yeah, they're making all sorts of contact.
Yes. So this is not, my opinion, this is not somebody who walked away.
Yeah, absolutely not. But let me tell you something about walking away. I can see in this chart where it's set up to look that way, because we got the 6th house. We got Will in the 6th house. And this is where you find, someone ran away. Anytime you look at runaways, it's a 6th house thing. But this is intercepted. And we're making way too close contact with the perpetrator. And so it's really like the chart saying they're making it look like this. But this is not a runaway.
Yeah. Yes.
I looked up, I don't know why I said I actually, because I don't look things up, I guess. I don't know. I looked up the camper in the rulership book, because I was like, camper, maybe that's 2nd house because it's a possession. Maybe it's 3rd house because it's a vehicle that you take locally or far away, I guess.
Or Mercury.
But, according to Rex Bill's rulership book, camper is ruled by 5th house or Leo.
Okay. Because it's recreation. It's fun.
It's fun. Yeah, when I looked at it, I was like, yeah, that makes sense. It's about having adventure, right? Getting out, which is all fifth house things. It's fun. Um, so we're looking at the camper here in this chart. We're looking at the fifth house. It's in Leo, ruled by the sun. That sun is right by Will. I think he was in that camper.
I think that's very likely. Yeah.
And the camper's missing.
Yeah.
That camper, and his family believes this too, and I think it, especially looking at the astrology here, that camper holds a lot of clues, a lot of evidence.
Is that camper still in one piece?
I'm going to say no.
I think so either.
And the reason I think that is because the planet ruling the camper, the sun, is in a fall in Libra. You know, it's in a sign that's not much sunlight. You know, you get into the fall, we get less sun. There's something about no visibility or not accessible.
There's also, and I know that we've talked about this in other ways as well, but that Uranus conjunct the ascendant feels like pieces, and in a bunch of different ways perhaps, but I think that camper is probably part of it.
Yeah.
Being one piece.
And if you listen to the podcast, going back to that, I keep referencing the podcast because it has the full story. The wife, and she has a stepson who, like, adult age stepson. They're mentioned to have an excavating business. And, you know, this isn't Sweeny. This is in an area that has a lot of land, a lot of stuff. It could be in a lot of different places. There could be ways probably to hide things or dispose of things.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe too, let me be clear, I'm not pointing the finger. I'm going by what I heard on the podcast. I'm going by astrology and just kind of using the information that's available. His home, when police did go, and I believe it was like 3 weeks after he went missing, is when they searched the home. So there's been a pretty good lapse of time. There was evidence of things being burned. There were dumpsters that were placed there that were removed. So there's, you know, by what we know, there's opportunities for things to disappear, go missing.
Yes. Okay, so I want to bring up, I've kind of talked about, you know, kind of harped on Uranus here. But I want to harp on it just a little bit more. Okay, so we've got the 11th house as Aquarius on the cusp, right? So Aquarius is not traditionally ruled by Saturn, but modernly ruled by Uranus. So we have that 11th house coming to the first. Okay. This does make me think that he probably didn't know. They were at least maybe perhaps an associate. I want to be very careful how I say this here. It does make me think that they probably didn't know them.
That he knows the perpetrators.
I do yes, and I do think it's perpetrators. I do feel like
we got two rulers here. We got you know, rulers of Scorpio, modern and traditional. We got two planets surrounding him as well.
Yeah, and I feel like the perpetrators,
and we got Mars and Gemini. Sorry, double bodied. Yes,
exactly. Yeah, I feel like they did it for different reasons.
Like they all had their own motives.
Yes. And I think that might be where this quincunx comes in. Like there's something, yeah. Yeah.
Different motives, but yet all weaved into something, right?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I can't even, and I agree. I'm seeing that too. I'm in agreement with you. It just blows my mind. Like, what could be so goddamn bad, to
Yeah.
do something like this and
Yeah.
take someone
Yeah.
away from their children.
Yeah. No, seriously. Yeah.
Yeah.
There were a couple other fixed stars I wrote. There's one conjunct the descendant.
Mhm.
I think it was like right on it. Let me see. I think it was. Unless I like hallucinated that.
We work on a lot of different astrology things, so sometimes, there's a blending of charts.
Um, why am I not seeing it now? Did I just make
Did
this
we go
up?
over the fixed star for Mars, or is that what you were?
No, I thought there was one conjunct the descendant, but I think I just like made it up.
There is one conjunct Mars.
Okay.
It says
Yes,
honors,
there is.
wealth. Yeah, go ahead.
No, you go. I don't have it pulled up yet
Oh,
on
it's
my.
honors, wealth, power, greed, aggression. So again, another wealth marker. So I like you said, there's several or maybe more than one motive behind this. Money keeps popping up,
Oh yeah, for sure.
and that can mean money. That can mean assets. That can mean
and
all sorts of things.
yeah. Hmm.
Insurance.
Hmm.
I don't know if
Hmm.
there's insurance. I'm just pointing out.
Yeah,
things
the
out.
different sorts of yeah.
Yeah.
There was also, well, maybe that doesn't exist either. Let's see. I have one on here, one conjunct Pluto. Um, yes. Yes, there is. When at 25:51 Capricorn, Pluto's at 26:08. Strength and power rise in life, riches, cunning, and disgrace. It is fortunate for Venus and Saturn, which is not conjunct those, but that
Yeah.
we have the money thing coming up again.
Yeah.
Um, mhm.
But there's some financial motive. I want to touch on Jupiter in this chart. It's in the 12th house. It's retrograde in Aries. You put the cursor of it for those watching here. The significance here is it does rule the 8th house of death. And I think it's obvious, like his family, I think, assumes he's probably not alive because he would not leave his children. He would not abandon his children. And so there is something about this Jupiter ruling the house of death. Did you see the fixed star it was on?
Yeah, I think you mentioned that. I'm going to the page.
I mean, it's
Yeah,
like just 3 minutes off. It's really, really close fixed star.
danger of being jilted by a lover. Yeah.
And we're going to look at some mapping, and we're going to look at this Jupiter on there as well. Anything else you want to say about this chart before we go to what's next?
Are we going into any theories, or do we want to stay away from that?
This is an active case.
And I don't mean our theories necessarily. I mean like theories but we don't have to. I was just wondering.
There are some theories discussed on the podcast. So I think it's okay to discuss theories. We're being very clear. Now, we're not saying we think this is what happened. We're saying here are theories.
Well, I mean, I just asked because of the context of that. That particular fixed star opens a door here.
It does. And so I wrote down some theories from the podcast. Of course, I'm like listening, and I'm good at multitasking, and I'm not. So I don't know how good my notes are. It's discussed some people that were around that. God, I don't know how I want to say this. Okay, let me put it this way. Will was an employee of Phillips 66. Employees of Phillips 66, there is a gun and fishing club I believe north of Sweeny, for employees only. Like, it's hard to get into this place. It is just access for employees. There's a security guard who worked there, and I believe he had to let Will out of a back way once because he was worried about something. Again, like, I'd have to listen to this again, but there's some people who work in this campground that are associated with Will and family. As far as, and then there was also, his sister mentions a random guy on Facebook that was messaging people and kind of harassing, and that seemed really suspicious as well. What other kind of theories do you want to?
As much as
Okay,
yeah.
that's what I wrote down.
Okay. I think that's
Okay.
I think that's good.
So, point being, there's some people around the story that are suspicious.
Yeah.
More than one.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. And go watch the podcast or listen to it, not watch
Listen to it. It's like one of these stories that has a lot going on. So I'm trying to just give you the basics, because I believe episode 1's like an hour and a half, so trying to just kind of give you the brief so that we can go into the astrology. But yeah, listen to it. Do we want to go into mapping? Do we want to look at other charts?
Let's look at the other chart real quick.
Okay.
So I did take some.
Which one do you want to do, when he's reported missing or his birth chart?
No, the reported or this is the wife. You're talking about the chart where the wife.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry, not reported. Is said to be missing.
I was gonna say, I don't think I looked at the one where it was reported, so I don't have notes on that.
I apologize. No, I said that wrong. Okay, so let me explain this chart. This is October 18th, 2022. This is the next day. So the chart we just looked at is when he last talked to his son. It's anyone besides the wife, last time anyone's talked to him. This chart is when Will's wife, current wife, reaches out to Beverly, Will's sister, and says, Will's missing. And so this is the first glimpse of something's wrong here. And so this is when the wife says he's missing.
Can we throw it in? You're on the Astrogold, right?
I am.
Can we throw it in the Reggio?
Oh, yes. Forgive me.
No. I was just
look, because it says Reggie. I don't even see. I don't know what the little blip in the system is. I have it on Reggio, but it's still, you have to like go off of it and go back on sometimes.
It's like, no, we want you to see it like this.
Thank you. I know. It's like Brandy loves whole sign. In natal charts, not in horary. Okay, here we are. Reggio Montanus chart.
What I notice about this one, and this is why I kind of made the comment in the beginning that I'd like them, and I've said it to you a few times. I would like somebody to search the areas around the home. He had like 14 acres, right?
I believe it's a property. Yeah, it's
like a sprawl of land, right? We've got the ruler. Okay, so in this chart, you've got both rulers of the ascendant, right? Both chart rulers in the first house. You have the ruler of the seventh house, Mercury, in the seventh house. There's something about this, like both the victim and the perpetrators or whatever being in their own places.
Yeah.
Like their home, that makes me think
that everybody's at home.
Yes. Yeah. And, going back and searching makes sense here. We've got both the chart rulers retrograde. Having to go back. I don't know. That doesn't seem like something that wouldn't be I don't know. I think they should. I think somebody should. And if not actually on the property, somewhere near it. Like they just feel like they're at home to me.
Yeah. There's something there, right? Yeah, I think that's a good way to put it. So if you look at this chart, this is the next day. This is in the afternoon. The planet that ruled Will in the previous chart Venus is now in the 8th house. Not a great placement.
Yeah.
8th house does rule death. And so I really feel like at this point, he's likely not alive.
Yeah, and also in that other chart, you know, Venus and Venus and Mars in the other chart, they were applying.
Yeah.
Now they're
Yeah, because
are
in
they
the previous chart, Venus was 23 degrees.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh wait, no, they're still not exact. Sorry, I'm crazy. I was like I was like
They're in degree though. They're 24 degrees, you know. Are you talking about Mars and Venus?
yeah, and I was thinking of just ignore what I was just saying. I was looking at the wrong minutes, so just ignore me. That part.
By degree, it's tight though. It is tighter.
Yeah, it is tighter.
You know, the moon has now moved into a new sign, which was Will's co-ruler in both charts. But it went from, what's interesting about that when you're talking about the home and all that, the previous chart, the moon is in the home sign of Cancer that rules the home. Now it's moved out of that. Now it's moved into Leo, something more visible, you know, or
Individuated.
it also, Leo's like a 5th house energy, like areas of adventure, fun, risks.
Yeah, and that moon in the other chart, we really didn't talk too much about it, but it being conjunct like the IC and in the 4th house
of endings.
Also the home of home and family. Well, I'll just leave it at that.
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah. What else do we want to cover in this chart?
What else? Oh, Saturn
Saturn the 12th.
Moves into the 12th from the 10th and the other one.
Yeah.
Now.
And yeah, anytime we're looking at forensic astrology, Saturn can actually be the body. And it's in the 12th house, something unseen.
Something unseen.
Also not a good testimony of someone that's okay.
No, it's not.
And this chart as well, just to validate, this also does not represent running away. There's these charts are very suspicious.
Yeah, they are. Yes, they are.
Can we go to mapping, or do you want to do the birth chart?
We can look at the. I mean, whatever you want to do.
Okay. I kind of want to do mapping because I feel like, and then we can go back if we have time.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Now, disclaimer here, everybody.
Yes.
Okay. Watching this. Scribble Maps is amazing, and it's also a pain in the ass. So my lines that I'm drawing,
a love-hate relationship with Scribble.
It is. It's amazing that it exists. So it's, you know, in a way it is easy to use, and in a way it's a pain in the ass to use because you try to draw like a line and you try to get it real close to the actual point, and you find that you're way whatever.
It's very sensitive too. Like if you are with the mouse and you move just the wrong way, it will screw up everything you've worked on for 30 minutes. So
yeah. Okay.
So I'm having Ellie take the map. Ellie, I want to say thank you for taking over the mapping because I lose my enlightenment anytime I try to map, and you're just more mature than me. So thank you.
Oh, I don't think so. You're too kind.
You got this, Ellie.
Okay, so let me explain. Okay, so like what I was talking about just a few minutes ago, like I tried to draw a line from, this is the house, the last place he was known to be seen, and I tried to draw a line and I couldn't fucking do it. So I mean, I try, whatever. It's close enough. Cause like, okay, with scribble maps, what you've got to do is you've got to zoom all the way out. If you want to make the line longer, you
Like
can't like,
reach enough.
yeah. And so it looks like, right. It looks like I would have drawn it like
Looks like
right
you're
on.
right on the marker.
It does. Yeah. But I'm not. Okay.
But you're close enough to get a, I mean, we're talking about probably 1 degree. Like we're in the range here. We're good.
It's my Virgo midheaven coming out and being like, be precise. Be precise.
We all got Virgo somewhere in our chart, and yeah, we all have to deal with that. Okay.
Well, this marker right here is his home.
Okay.
This marker is the Phillips 66 camping
or gun and fishing club, I believe it's called.
Outdoorsmen for outdoorsmen. They might as well call it for outdoorsmen because that's like
yes, which is Will. Will loves this place. I think it's like where his heart lives, you know, and so anyways, he spends a lot of time at this place. There's a reason we're looking at this because you know, and we kind of like in a backwards way we're looking at this because normally I wouldn't go to like Jupiter in this chart for mapping, but I'm like, okay, he loves this place, right? Let's see if anything falls astrologically on this mapping. Guys, this is the Jupiter line.
It is.
And it's exact. It's like, goes right there.
And just to explain how we're doing this real quick, what essentially you do is like, you've got 360 degrees right in a circle. And so that Jupiter was at 1 degree Aries, right?
It's going to be 1 degree.
So it's going to be 1 degree. Yeah. Whereas like Saturn was at 18 degrees. So you would turn that to 318 degrees.
Right. So basically Aries is 0 to 29. Taurus will be 30 to 59. Gemini, you know, and so you're
turning it to the 360 degree zodiac essentially.
All those years of school and math and not paying attention. Like I wish, you know, I had to relearn degrees and stuff as an adult to do astrology.
Yeah, there is some math involved, isn't there? But yeah, this is the Jupiter line. Like dead ass on it.
Yeah. This is and this is significant. And I'm not saying necessarily this is where Will is at, but I think something important to this case is there, whether it be Will, whether it be a weapon, whether it be evidence, something's there.
There is I think, you know, we were talking about this, and without getting too graphic, I think there is scattering of evidence and of things in different places here.
Which you see with Uranus. Anytime like Uranus, those kind of, maybe even Aquarius.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. The another one that I did was this is the Saturn line, this purple line that you can barely see. I don't know why I chose that stupid color. I love purple. I do too, but it was not a good choice for this map because you can't see it very well. But where my cursor is, that is the Saturn line. Because Saturn, you know, oftentimes, you know, it representing the body. It seems like a line perhaps to look at.
Yeah. And so this is kind of a big area of a map, but what you do is you look at this and be like, okay, what areas does the victim familiar with, people around the victim, areas we're searching. And so when you map this, it's like, okay, what's on this line that we want to look at? I believe the ascendant was going east.
Yeah, I think so. Now I did do the Venus line.
Oh, okay, perfect.
That's the Venus line, but I haven't done the ascendant. We can certainly do that if you want.
I'm not really feeling the ascendant line on this. Now, ascendant line is really good to track when someone's leaving. Like, hey, I'm going to go out on a jog. I'm leaving the house to go here. And it's fact that, you know, someone left willingly to track them. In this case, I don't really feel like the ascendant line is going to take us where we need to go.
Okay. Okay.
Unless, I mean, I'm just kind of talking theory of mapping, but if
no, I get that. I get that theory. I did feel like mapping Venus might be.
Yes, I think that's very valuable.
And as you can see, like out here, there's a lot of land. There's a lot of land. Yeah. Are there any other lines that you'd want to, anything that with the chart, we were like, oh, I should have her do that. Well,
No, if I was going to give any expertise based on mapping from astrology, I would say let's do another search of the property and the gun and fishing club.
yeah,
And
I
maybe,
think another search of the property. And honestly, anywhere that he felt like was home.
yeah, there's going to be something close to his heart. This is actually, and I don't rule this out, but I feel like this is a case where he's not going to be somewhere random.
I don't think so either. Now there could be, because I do think that there is a scattering. Um, some of it might appear random, but I think most of it I is not going to be random. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's going to be something that it's going to be somewhere that feels like home to him, whatever that is, wherever that is, whatever place is, it might be, more than one place.
Yeah.
So I hope, whoever knew him well, right, can kind of think about where he felt like that was.
Yeah.
And perhaps run with that.
Yeah, I mean, and if his wife still owns a property, hopefully she'll go out there and look for anything that's suspicious. Because I know, she has a son with him. Let's solve
Yeah.
this.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you for the mapping. Yeah, these are definitely good areas to look. And I did talk to the family, and I believe they have brought up checking that gun and fish club, because that line runs right through a reservoir. It's actually reservoir number 3, because there's 3 of them there. And I think there was some concern about draining or really searching it properly, because that club makes a lot of money off fishing, and I think it's hard to kind of, I don't know, I don't understand the ins and outs of what you got to do to search that area. But if we do a lot of forensic astrology, me and Ellie even privately will map cases where we're not working with the family, but the victim will be found where we were mapping, right? Like, there is some credibility to astrology and mapping and finding evidence and finding people. Like, I just hope maybe this would be a little bit of an incentive, be like, okay, here's another thing that marks this area is worth searching. And I hope law enforcement, Phillips 66, like, could get together and just roll it out, give the family peace of mind.
Yeah, and it's that it's actually, yeah, I mean, that's a lot of it is actually being taken seriously with this,
Yeah.
right?
I mean, Will was a wonderful employee of Phillips 66 and enjoyed those campgrounds. Like, for him, do that, roll it out. I know it takes time, money, resources. I think it's worth investigating.
Oh, I think so too. Let me ask you though about the reservoir. Well, I certainly think they should be searched, right? Yeah, absolutely. Do you think he's in water?
I think it's possible.
You think it's possible?
Yes.
I mean, I think it's possible with like
I think something's in water. I'll put it that way.
because I get a real strong earth vibe from this.
I feel like both could apply.
Okay. Okay. I mean, yeah, I feel like the whole, I mean, like certainly they need to look in the, if they'll let them look in those, I can't talk.
Reservoir is a hard word. I mean, I'm originally from Oklahoma, so I have this twang and it just makes saying certain words hard. But yeah, it's a hard word to say.
Yeah, they certainly need to search those reservoirs for sure.
They do. Now,
but
let's talk about the water earth theory real fast with these reservoirs, because apparently, from what information I've gotten, 2 of these reservoirs are concrete and one is actually earth bottom. Okay. And I believe the concrete spills into the earth one. I don't know as far as 1, 2, 3, which is which. But the fact that earth and water coming up or maybe nearby, I don't.
Okay, well, if there are 2 that are concrete and 1 that's earth, that fucking earth one.
Yeah, I'm wondering if that's number fucking 3. Sorry, excuse my language, but I'm feeling passionate about this.
Yeah, I didn't know that about those. Then that earth one needs to be for sure looked at.
Yeah. Now, of course, I don't know how I don't know how this. I've tried to actually get online and find more research about these reservoirs. I can't find a whole lot of like how deep it is. You fish in it, it's got to be decent size. I don't know, but what can be done? Is there sonar equipment? Can it be dragged? Can it be drained? What can be done? Do it.
Yeah.
The worst that's going to happen, you're going to rule it out.
Yeah.
Everything that gets ruled out gives family a little bit more.
It gets you closer.
Yeah.
Even if it's just a little bit closer, it gets you closer because you can definitively say, okay, this isn't it.
Yeah. I'll say this too. I keep saying, listen to the podcast. Listen to the podcast though, because the sister does talk about, interestingly, I just thought about this. She talks about like talking to a medium or a psychic on this that gives some pretty interesting clues where he could be too, that really matches astrology, like what we're seeing. So, and there was some water brought up, I believe. Yeah.
Is there any other mapping?
No, I think these 3 lines, I think he's here, there, or there, or at least there's evidence, maybe on all 3.
Yeah, a little bit of
4 if you count the actual home spot too.
A little bit of everywhere all at once kind of thing. Yeah. Did you want to look at here, I'll stop sharing on mine. Did you want to look at the birth chart?
Yeah, we'll pull it up. And I have this like a C rating just because that's just what you rate anything that's more like word of mouth, not getting off of an actual document. And the family said his mom, pretty sure he's born at this time. So I just kind of want to give that disclosure. Moms usually know,
Yeah. Usually, generally speaking. Yeah.
I have had cases where someone's getting just an astrology reading and they're like, my mom's born at this time. They get their birth certificate and find out it's completely like opposite other time of the day. And then they're like, oh, it was my sister born at this time. So depending on how many kids, sometimes birth stories can be a little, there's a lot going on when you're having a baby. So sometimes things get mixed up, but
a lot going on.
Yeah, so he's a Capricorn. Did you want me to pull up any certain progressions? I forgot to ask you that.
Solar arcs.
Because
I was looking at it. I actually as I've mentioned to you before, I just got Astrogold I had it for the I have it for the phone. I just got it for the Mac and I'm still learning how to use it. So I was trying to so yeah. If you could pull that'd be great.
Yeah, for October 17th.
I was trying to do them in my mind.
It's much easier to just,
like learn how to use the software. Yeah.
No, I meant like not do it in your mind, like just get a chart up here. And I just pulled it off for just a minute because I didn't want one of my clients' charts to accidentally pop up. So give me just a moment.
Like, hello, I'm here.
I've done that. Okay, let me make sure. Let me check my math here. Yes. Okay, I believe we're good. we go. All right. So we have Will's birth chart in the middle, and then the solar arcs of October 17th, 2022 on the outside. That look familiar, Ellie?
Yes. Yeah,
Okay,
this is kind of what I was creating in my mind.
Okay. I will say something that might validate the birth time. You know, we see a pattern when someone passes away, or yeah, really just that you can look at the planet that rules the chart. So he's a Capricorn rising, so Saturn rules his chart. In an event where you pass, there's usually something going on with Saturn. Saturn is, yeah, it's over on the 12th house. It's usually that planet's either like 8th, 12th, 4th, or it's in like in a interesting, like strong or debilitated sign. We got it over the 12th house. I just want to say, I think we're dealing with a pretty close chart.
Well, also that midheaven is very tight with that Neptune, which does stand out to me. Just having an angle hitting that, you know, Neptune can be a lot of things, but it can also be unclear.
Yeah.
So there's something about that kind of, it kind of strikes something.
And also the Neptune here.
Conjunct that Venus.
Yeah.
Which Venus was his ruler in the other one, which I thought that's interesting too.
That is.
And Venus in this chart rules the 5th house and the 10th.
Yeah.
That Chiron, that solar arc Chiron, coming up on a conjunction with that North Node.
Yes.
That, and mind you, people could have this going on and there not be going missing or a death, but there is something something about that does, because like also like the nodes do tend to be activated as well I know that there's, I mean, we're both pretty sure that he has passed on. I mean, I guess it's not actually like ironclad proof or anything, right? But we both kind of think that he has. And you know, you oftentimes the nodes are activated in some way. This could be you know, in solar arcs, it could be in transits, it could be in both. We could be talking about, you know, the nodes themselves being activated, the rulers being activated, some type of activation. And Chiron is, you know, pain and wounding, healing too, but
yeah.
I do wonder, there's also that something, a few years before this, something, I'm wondering when he married his wife.
Yeah, I want to say it was, I'm not sure. We need to reach out to the family, because you were saying you see something going on around 2020.
Yeah, and this isn't even anything like, you know, it's just, you know, a lot of times with solar arcs, when big events happen in one's life, or rather, let me put it like this, because sometimes you'll think of an event as being big, but it's actually not. And how do I want to word this? With solar arcs, you see the big events that are actually the big events in the person's life, like in the shaping of the person's life.
Yeah.
That may not be every big event that happens, but I don't really know a better way to say that.
If I'm understanding, it's almost like looking back in hindsight, being like, oh, I can see exactly in this point in my life when things started changing or coming together for this to happen here.
Yes. And like, okay. And also like, okay, like let's say somebody has a couple marriages. Okay. Or has a couple of kids, right? A few children. You might only see one marriage in solar arcs. Now, that doesn't mean that both marriages aren't important, right? But along the course of that person's life, that one marriage that's seen in conjunction with something might be more shaping for that person's life than say the other one, if that makes sense. That's kind of, because people will ask, why am I not seeing, because I have a clients where they're like, why am I not seeing like somebody that was married 3 times? Why am I only seeing one marriage in solar arcs? The other ones, there's nothing happening. Well, perhaps that one marriage that you see is the one that really, did the shaped you in some way, or caused you to go some certain,
Is it like, and I'm sorry to use this example, is it like Yoko Ono and John Lennon? He's married more than once, but she has this very much shaping of it. Not that his first wife wasn't important. She very much was. But
yes, yeah, and yeah, yeah, because that's not to dismiss, any marriages say that you don't see in solar arcs,
yeah,
or any children that are born that you don't see in solar arcs. That's certainly not to dismiss their importance, or any
right.
deaths that you don't see. But I do think there is something about when you actually see the solar arcs being activating natal planets, or solar arc angles activating planets, or whatever. There is something about it something about that particular birth, death, moving, marriage, whatever, divorce, whatever the case might be, is very pivotal in the shaping of that person. Yes.
Yeah.
And it does make me wonder when, because like you'll see solar arc Pluto.
I rewinded it 2 years.
Oh, you're right. Okay, I was gonna say I thought it was at 9. Okay.
I moved it.
So 2 years in 2020, that Pluto would have been right on Uranus. You could even probably extend it out to 2019 if you wanted to. Like I'm just wondering, there's that going on. That moon would be conjunct that Mercury. Also about to change signs, which makes me think a change was
big change. Yeah.
There was something going on 2019, 2020. I know there was a lot going on.
Like transformational, right? Like that.
Yes.
Yeah, something, a game changer.
Yes. Yeah. There's something. Yeah. Yes. So I'm just, it's like not really my business, but I am curious if there was what all was going on at this point in time. And again, it probably wasn't anything bad, but it's just seeing it, seeing them lit up. It's kind of like,
something's changing here. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm going to share his picture one more time. Because, more than anything, we want his family to have answers and closure. If you know anything, even if you think it's not important, report it anyway. You just never know what information you have can be. Like, how many times do you hear about cases getting solved and it came from a tip that someone's like, oh, I didn't know if this would mean anything, and it did. It solved the case. So, Will Gray, you know anything, report it, please. Also, there is a Facebook page called Find Will Gray. You can contact his family there if you know anything. Yeah. And, our whole reason we wanted to do this was to get his name out there, discuss the astrology. Maybe some of what we discussed will help his family with some answers. I don't know. More than anything, I want them to have closure though, and I want them to be found. And I hope that happens.
Absolutely. Yeah, my heart goes out to them. I can't think of anything. I mean, having a loved one and not knowing where the hell they are and what the hell happened to them. I mean,
guys, if you just talk to his sister, you'll know she lives every single day just in pain from this. Like, if you know something, like, don't do that to people. She's got a life, she's got kids, she's got grandbabies. Like, she needs her life back. Like, someone knows something. There's from what we see, more than one person involved. Likely somebody knows something.
And I feel like one of them could talk.
I do. I feel that. That one is just
that. It's that Mars and Gemini. I said Gemini. I feel like that
Gemini talks.
Gemini talks.
Gemini talks. Do it. Come on. Do the right thing.
Or somebody with that Gemini, could.
If you heard something from someone, go report it. go report it. Like, go do good in the world, please.
Yes, absolutely.
All right. Ellie, thank you for working together on this one.
Thank you for wanting to.
We're gonna, if we have any updates, maybe we'll do an update show, but yeah, anyone wants to leave comments about anything they saw, please be sensitive in the way you talk on this one, because his family will be seeing comments in this video. So be nice. Anything you want to add, be nice, and do it tactfully.
Yeah, this is one where this is, you know, I'm not really one to censor comments, but if when I put this on on Saturn season astrology, if anybody's an asshole, it won't be kept up.
No, and if anyone's an asshole on my channel in any video, like I will delete your comment. Like, so if you want to say something and you want to be heard and you want to have a conversation, be nice, be tactful, be respectful.
Yes.
All right. With that being said, I'll see you next time.